We first met in fourth grade. We went to the same elementary school.
That was 13 years ago, a simpler time for Brandon Harris and Sarah Sana. The two grew up in Annapolis, Maryland, about 30 miles south of Baltimore. They had a friendship that was akin to brothers, but their lives started to drift apart as they aged.
Like around like my middle school age, I started to act out around that time, and that's around the time I was getting in trouble with law enforcement.
As Harris worked his way into an elite private school, clearing the path directly to college, Sana became a product of his environment, one that included violence and crime. Sana says his family didn't have much, which motivated him into stealing and other crimes.
And that's what motivated me to gravitate towards crime, so I can help my family, and more so I can help myself with issues of stuff like hunger and no clothes and.
After several run-ins with police and going in and out of jail, Sana eventually found himself facing 15 years in prison at 17 years old. His charges included first-degree burglary, destruction of property, theft, and gun-related charges. As Sana adapted to life behind bars, Harris, on the other hand, was headed towards college.
Pre-SAT and then the SAT and ACT and college applications, recommendation letters. These were things that were consuming my energy.
Even though his plate was full, Harris says he never forgot about Sana. In fact, he took on a sense of survivor's guilt for his success compared to his friend.
There was a lot of worry. There was some guilt and some shame involved because I felt like maybe I could have been there for Surah better during those years.
He was doing something better with his life, and I was in the worst place that could be on earth. And
Although several years went by since the two communicated, they never forgot about each other. As the COVID-19 pandemic took hold of society, Harris, still thinking of Sana, questioned how the pandemic was impacting the prison population. He wrote Sana a letter to find out.
So in that first letter, it was a written letter that I mailed to him. I asked him about his conditions, how he's doing. I asked him for life updates, how he's feeling.
Harris and Sana rekindled their friendship, but even they didn't know what was on the horizon, which turned out to be a year-and-a-half-long journey to not only better understanding the criminal justice system and the school-to-prison pipeline, but their efforts also expedited Sana's life transformation and his early release from prison. In 2020, Harris began an independent project that focused on the ignored and forgotten in society. He says many of which are locked away in the nation's prisons and jails. He focused his efforts on his friend, Sana.
And I interviewed his family members, interviewed basically anyone who had a connection to his situation, anyone that I could identify, I wanted to speak with. So I read through all of his public record that's in the courts, and I reached out to any subjects that were a part of those records. So prosecutor, reached out to his victims. I reached out to arresting officers, and I talked to Surah. And this whole time I was really aiming towards getting an objective look at his situation.
As the project progressed, it gained traction. Harris wrote Maryland Governor Larry Hogan requesting Sana be granted permission to participate in a virtual call for the project, which was granted last April. Sana's attorney also took note of the project and filed a motion to have Sana's sentence reconsidered by a judge last December.
How were you able to convince the judge?
I also talked about the transformation that I've witnessed. And I talked about our Zoom project and what the findings that I have from that experience and what I think had come out of it, which is a great support network for Surah. I would say that it's there when the judge pushed back a bit more. The judge made the argument that you can take a horse to water, but you can't force them to drink. So that was one that I had to try to counter, and I countered it by saying that Surah has drank for me over the past 1.5 years working with him, and I'm convinced, deeply convinced, that he is ready to drink for the judge if given the opportunity.
Their efforts paid off, and after having served 3 of his 15-year prison sentence, Sana's early release was granted on February 8th of this year.
It's like I was just proud of myself more than anything. I was proud of Brandon. I was just so proud. Like, I just couldn't believe it. Like,
Now that the two friends are back on one accord, they both agree their experiences in and around the criminal justice system highlights its inhumanity.
it's just dehumanizing to me. Everything about that place is just very chaotic. I don't know if
22-year-old Harris is a senior at Davidson College in Davidson, North Carolina. He plans to use his experience advocating for Sana to pursue law school and do the same for others through criminal justice reform and education policy. Meanwhile, 23-year-old Sana is working to complete his GED and then plans to go to college himself to study film, photography, and production. Reporting for Atlanta Black Star, I'm Cavante Smalls.